produce for public good. Make a distinction between those who only sell for commercial profit and those who are giving money, food for the public distribution system and the food security reserve, which entitle them to purchase key inputs at a reasonable price, at local price. And this is a very important one. And in the case of food, we require more and more food safety, consumer health, consumer nutrition. These are now becoming very important. A new Food Act provides some safeguards. Both food and water are getting highly, particularly perishable animal products, fish products. They are all getting infected with a whole variety of problems. And in a country with a high prevalence of poverty and malnutrition, the government of India should always retain a commanding position. The commanding heights in the management of the food security system will have to be the government. Not only the government of India, it's true in all industrialized countries also. Food security is not left to the marketplace. It's a responsibility of the government. Keeping inflation under check by making essential commodities available in adequate quantities and at affordable prices must be a national resolve. In other words, food sovereignty and national sovereignty are related. So we suggested a National Food Security and Sovereignty Board, which is across all political parties, It's a pan-political party committee. It's not a one party. It consists Prime Minister's chairperson, union ministers, Panchayat Raj and so on, leaders of all national political parties, chief ministers of a few states which are surplus and few states which are deficient, and a few media representatives, because media serves as the watchdog of early warning system of hunger. Is universal PDS economically feasible? Yes, the answer is we have resolved to do so. One has to, sometimes I have seen Mr. Rafi Ahmed Kidwai once when he was Minister for Agriculture, Abhisab, he just one night decided all restrictions across the state should go. And the food shortage suddenly disappeared. Occasionally people take that decision, like Madhav India's open sky policies and computerization of railways and so on. We need bold decisions like the EGS of Maharashtra, M.G. Ramachandran's nutritious noon meal and so on. So roadmap for ending hunger. India is likely to have the world's largest population, not hungry population, largest population in the world by 2040, because we will exceed China very shortly. China is number 1, we will become number 2, because this is an area now, population stabilization has got out of the political focus. Building a sustainable food security system will require attention to both availability of sufficient stocks and also who controls them. Now we recommended, it's not under report, but I have been recommending that just as special economic zone, I would like to see both of them together. A special economic zone for non-farm activity and special agricultural zones for on-farm activity. For example, to conserve prime farmland for agriculture. Very important. To realize the untapped potential of rain-fed areas, to ensure a national nutrition security and food sovereignty, and also a systems approach to cultivation, consumption and commercialization as a total system. And it's very important to have the special agricultural zones in areas high production or even in the dry farming areas, which are our bread and basket areas, bread and butter areas which we must conserve in our own national interest. Well, there are people now who are again reviving the old scenario. 40 years ago, Paul and William Paddock, I hope you have it in your library, called Famine 1975, they predicted that countries like India will starve to death. In fact, they predicted that Indians' fate will be like sheep going to slaughterhouse. They have no choice except to die out of hunger. These were the predictions, and now people say we are going back again to a ship-to-mouth existence, and if you are not careful, this can happen. The only difference now is food is going to be is not available. Even at that time, their calculation was the demand for food by countries like India will far outstrip the capacity of North America, which is a breadbasket, to produce it. That's where the cutting point comes in. The demand cannot be met, and today it is much more clear because all of them want to have conservation. And the United States, a large amount of land, corn. Iowa used to be proud of feeding the world. This time the governor told me we are going to fuel the world. The corn will be used for producing fuel. So it is a very different story in those countries, and we will have no problem if you are going to import. It will be very expensive. US Department, since we are a federal country, I think there are a lot of things to learn from the United States in terms of what support the federal government or the central government should give to states. And the Farm Bill of the US is a very good example how to develop the support system from the center to the state, not ad hoc, a few people sitting overnight producing some plan and so on. Mike Johanns, who was the President Secretary, he has written a very interesting introduction. I want to read it. As President Bush said in his message to farmers and ranchers during our Farm Bill forums, they had a very large number of forums all over the United States with actual farmers, farm families, and the Farm Bill is an important legislation that meets real needs. The next Farm Bill should further strengthen the farm economy and preserve the way of life for farmers and ranchers of the future. It's a tremendous honor, he says, the Secretary, to serve as the Secretary of Agriculture at this important time in history. I could not be more optimistic about the future of American agriculture. The balance sheet has never been stronger, the technological advances never more impressive, and the potential for a rural renaissance never greater. For these reasons, I take very seriously the responsibility that lies before us. I think we should also be able to write like this, that never before. We have also got the same opportunity, technological opportunity and so on. Now, what kind of support do they give? You can look at the Farm Bill, it's available in the website and so on. Most important support is conservation farming. Market support, very important. You see, these supports come under the green box, blue box. They are not trade distorting in the sense they don't attract. Although we wrongly classify all support to farmers as sort of WTO and so on. Nothing to do with WTO, because 94% of what we produce is consumed locally. Therefore, that is why we recommend an Indian Trade Organization, ITO, to look after our own interests. Restructuring the food stamp program, credit policies, rural health care, and so on. And if you look at the number of farmers in the United States, including farming, fishing, and forestry, it is less than 1 million. It's a 9 lakh and odd, 1 million versus less than 1 million to 115 million farming families. And that's the order of change, because every fourth farmer in the world is an Indian farmer. We can be very proud of it. Every fourth farmer in the world is an Indian farmer. Let me conclude. We can quote scientists, we can quote political leaders, Mahatma Gandhi. But I think great spiritual leaders in this country, like the man I quoted earlier from Seneca, from Roman times, they had all the wisdom. Sri Aurobindo, about 100 years ago, 6th March 1908, in one of his articles which I took from there, he says we must now turn to the one field which we have most neglected, the field of agriculture. The return to the land is as essential to our salvation as the development of Swadeshi or the fight against famine. If we train our young men to go back to the fields, they will be able to become mentors, leaders, and role models to the village population. The problem is urgent in its call for a solution. Ladies and gentlemen, the problem is urgent. What do you want this country to go? Be without hunger, hunger-free India, or more and more policemen and more concentration on putting out somewhere a bushfire here and there. The choice is before us. The integrated learning people are the most important in terms of leaders in thought, but leaders in thought alone is not enough. You have to also be leaders in action. Thank you very much for this honor which you have given.